A very warm welcome to Semple Stadium, and just as I say that, the heavens have opened up ahead of Cork against Kildare in the Alliance League's Division 2 South, which comes to you live on Air Sport 2 from 3:30. And as we see both teams out there warming up, we'll start with Ronan McCarthy's team, Cork, of course, who are the home team this afternoon. And the Douglas man has named two Douglas men in the backs, with Kevin Flav and Sean Powder at left cornerback and centre back respectively. St Finbarr's Ian Maguire and Tyke McCorrick's Kevin O'Driscoll start midfield, and Brian Hurley on the edge of the square. And you could be sure that they'll be trying to pick him out once or twice over the course of the 70 minutes. Well, what about Jack O'Connor's Kildare side? Well, for their part, county champions at Thurles have two in the starting 15, with captain David Hyland wearing the number 6 jersey. And in total, O'Connor has selected 9 of the 15 that started in the Leinster semi-final against Meath. And there will be plenty of questions about Kevin Feely from Athy. Will he start in the number 14 jersey? Will he drift out towards midfield? Time will tell. There is Jack O'Connor, that is his team. And as I said, the heavens have opened up here in Semple Stadium. It was dry, but it has been wet enough, damp, but there's no wind. And Billy Joe Padden, who's here beside me as we wait around the Vian, despite the conditions, we're looking forward. We're back. Football in front of us here in the home of hurling.
It's great to be back, yeah. The conditions are very damp, the pitch is hard, so it will be difficult on the first day out. A lot of players, you know, not really up to speed with their skills and maybe even their fitness, so there'll be some unknowns early on, but you can be sure that each team will be very enthusiastic to get up and running early and get involved.
Well, seeing a few images there of Ronan McCarthy, the Cork manager, and obviously he's after serving his 12-week suspension, and a lot of talk about that, but it's great to be able to move away from controversy like that and just focus on the football here in front of us. Cian O'Neill there. Well, what will he be saying? Obviously his history with Kildare, and Jack O'Connor coming in to replace a fellow Kerry man in the for the Leinster Counties management. Both teams having a final little chat there as we wait, as I said, around the Vian. Ian Maguire, the captain of Cork, the St Finbar's man, and David Hyland, Athy, the captain for Kildare. And it'll be interesting to see again how they line up, but we're not expecting too many changes as it stands. It's the same 26 that was announced during the week by Ronan McCarthy and Jack O'Connor. And again we see there Paul Cribben, 28 years of age, who made his debut in 2013 against Tyrone. Vastly experienced. It's funny how the years go. A fellow when he was starting out, huge excitement about him. Still plenty of excitement about him as a 28-year-old, but funny how the years pass you by, and in particular the last year and a half. Just great to be back and witnessing some Alliance League football action. We're on the Vian there, and as you might expect, no band here, but played across the tannoy as both sets of players stood there, and you could see the rain just dripping off Ronan McCarthy's nose. Poor fella caught in the latest downpour there. Morris Deegan is our referee, the leash man taking charge and waiting now for Kildare to take their places. Cork more or less good to go. Billy Joe Padden looking forward to it.
I sure am. It's been too long without quality football to watch, and hopefully both teams here will approach this in the right way and really go out and play an open brand of football on such a big open hurling pitch. The ball, it is wet and hard, so the ball will be moving around there quickly. There's no real wind of note, so apart from the wet ball, no real excuses.
Well, a lot of chat about where Kevin Feely would play here this afternoon. He's 14 on his back, but he's lined up at centre forward with Daniel Flynn gone into edge of the square for Kildare. And obviously a lot of chat last weekend about those new rules and the impact on hurling. Well, we've a few new rules in football as well, but hopefully we won't have any controversy in relation to those. Paul Cribben, early touch for him. Johnstown Bridgeman puts it back inside to Ryan Houlihan. Good early ball inside, but again on that wet surface that's gonna skid, but done really well there from Jimmy Hyland. Cribben again. Cribben looks up and tries to angle one there, but they've lost that one. Trying to work a first touch for the Carbery Rangers man. He's way back there inside his own half. Taylor is back. Again puts that, angles that one inside to Hurley, and Hurley tried to slip it off, but he's got it back. Hurley with the left foot, and he's just driven that to the left and wide, and it's the first wide of the afternoon for Cork and for Castlehaven's Brian Hurley.
He led out on the ball very well. Unlucky to get not to get the pass away to Sean White, who timed a good run through. And then when he had the opportunity his left foot, he's such a two-footed player, you'd back him, but just a bit of rustiness maybe.
First kick out for Minutes. Mark Donlan, vastly experienced goalkeeper, made his debut in 20. And that's taken quickly. Kildare took the mark there in midfield, and on we go. Flynn, that's a better ball inside again, taking note of the conditions, which are extremely difficult and challenging for the players playing in the inside line. Just need to be careful not to put too much power on that ball in. Left-footed effort there, and it's driven across the post by Derek Kerwin. It's a wide apiece.
Tight angle, really difficult to slot that one over. I think it'll be interesting to see how Kevin Feely plays at centre forward. He's such a good footballer, he can use both feet, a real good playmaker, and maybe he'll feel a bit liberated in that area of the field, because at midfield he maybe had to do a bit too much defensive work.
Martin, the Nemo goalkeeper, was really well there trying to find Colm O'Callaghan. That's a free for Cork. And there, Ryan coming across. Ian Maguire, the Cork captain. And that might still work out here for Cork. O'Mahony looks up, hits that with his right, and is that going to turn inside the right hand upright? It does, and that's a lovely score. First possession of the afternoon for the Mitchelstown man, and he puts it between the upright.
Picks it up under a lot of pressure there and moves to his left and a long way out, and a lovely strike of the ball to sneak it inside the post. In very difficult circumstances, he was outnumbered. Great score.
We were chatting earlier, Billy Joe, I mean, again, it is wet, it is slippy, but there's no wind at all, so I mean, looking down at the flags there, no movement.
Once you get the ball up into your hands and find a bit of space, it shouldn't really impact you. It's really when the ball is bunching around in a break situation that it's harder just to collect it and move out of that area.
Masterson there, Moorfield man. To Cribben. Feely. Cribben again. Lots of Cribben early on in this game. Bowder keeping a close eye on him. The Cork centre back. Nice interplay there from Kildare. Really nice there from, and it just hit the upright from Kevin Feely, and it's a second wide of the afternoon for Kildare.
Yeah, maybe took a few steps, got away with it there, but having turned inside and find himself in that position 21 yards out, you'd expect him, with the quality he has in his right boot, to slot that one.
Nice play there by O'Mahony to get out in front of his namesake Daniel O'Mahony. Oh, that's going to turn it. Well, it turned, but it didn't turn enough for Cathal O'Mahony. Excuse me, he was in front of Mark Dempsey, the cornerback. And again, just Mark Donlan and goals for Kildare, looking to get that pace into it, take it quickly, and get them underway again.
Well, Kildare have the experience at this level over Cork in the last number of years, and I'm sure they're trying to play the game at as high a pace as possible. For Cork, I suppose the challenge is there is getting into Division 2 and establishing themselves and aiming for Division 1 in future.
A really good piece with Conor Coonan and the Southern Star during the week. talking about his role over the next 3 to 4 years in charge of football development in the county. I'm talking about wanting good people in there and trying to get Cork back to where they feel they belong, which is a Division 1 county. Again, haven't won Munster since 2012. Obviously last year was a golden opportunity, having beaten Kerry in that semi-final and then taking on Tipperary, but I don't know what happened there. What a year was for Tip. Good play there from Mick O'Grady, the Kildare fullback.
Kildare getting plenty numbers back in this situation. All bar 2 of their forwards inside their own 65, really clogging up the spaces. If Cork are going to create those scoring opportunities, they need to move the ball as quickly as they can.
Doyle is just sitting back there, number 4 on his back. He's just patrolling the area in front of Mark Donnellan's goal. You can hear the instructions from the Cork bench: recycle, recycle, and they're doing well there, but the foul in the end coming from Mark Dempsey, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a push, unnecessary. You know, he's under pressure there. Just once that left hand goes onto the back, it's free all day long, and really in a bad situation. It gives him a shot at the goal, albeit from a tight angle. But sometimes these forwards, with time, and particularly somebody like Brian Hurley with his ability, could knock it over.
Here comes Hurley, his first effort from a place ball, and he has hit that beautifully. That was really well taken. Right foot, left-hand side. Cork are 2 ahead.
Just goes to show the importance of having discipline in your defending, and particularly when you have numbers back like that. You're not under pressure. You have to show that discipline, and maybe that's evidence of the lack of preparation, or maybe compared to another year where the shortened pre-season.
Indeed, Alex Byrne looked like he had it all under control there until Mark Dempsey came in. But on we go, and here is a chance for John O'Rourke. O'Rourke steadies himself, and that is a lovely start for Cork. We've got 7 minutes played here in Semple, and they've got 3 up.
Yeah, the quick move out of the free in the middle of the field, and O'Rourke finds a lovely pocket of space there and backs himself from the top of the D straight over the black spot.
Mark Donlan, quick kick out, not as easy to take this time. Cork pushing up that little bit more. Morris Deegan has blown his whistle. I think there's a bit of pulling and shoving in there. And is that going to go over? It is. That is a well-taken score there from Daniel Flynn.
And that's a tandem Kildare will really want to get working. Kevin Feely initially fouled, takes the free himself, looks, he's looking nowhere else other than for Daniel Flynn. He wins it, goes to his left, use that big long stride, gets a yard, hits it over. Great score.
And Cork doing the opposite to Kildare with their kickouts. Micheál Martin is going long, trying to find his midfielders and his wing forwards, and that's a lovely angle ball in towards Hurley. He's going to let that one run. Comes back towards Hurley though. Really clever play from Hurley. Knew that Sean White had slipped inside him. Again, just in the end, the conditions taking that ball away from White.
Very clever pass by John O'Rourke. Unfortunately, just slipped away from Hurley. And Kildare, to their credit, have a lot of numbers back inside their 45 quickly, and they'll be looking to defend with a bit more discipline than the last time.
Now Callahan, again, just opened up slightly for him. Maybe giving a pass to Kevin O'Driscoll, but it'll come back here to Sean Powder.
No foul! No foul! No foul!
Dean. Entry Blues man comes back across and finds his captain, Maguire. Exact same as we discussed earlier. Owen Doyle, the Kildare cornerback, is just sitting back there, and it's making life very difficult for the Cork players outside to find any space inside. That'll still work out for Cork though. And Mahoney. Fortunate there, Cork, to retain possession. Colm O'Callaghan did really well. Now they switch all the way across to Matty Taylor, who puts a low ball in. They come again. O'Driscoll, lovely little footwork there from O'Driscoll, created the space for himself, hit it with the right foot outside of the right peg, and that's a glorious score.
Great patience to move it from left to right, and then the skill of O'Driscoll there to jink inside, dummy solo, cuts across it with his right boot. Sometimes you just have to back yourself, and he definitely did that. Excellent score from Cork in general. Great play all around, showing the patience and then the skill at the end.
4 scores for Cork in the opening 10 minutes, 3 from play, and 1 from a free from Brian Hurley. As we look now at Mark Donlan, and made his debut in 2013, vastly experienced goalkeeper for Kildare.
Pressure! Pressure on the ball! Pressure on the ball! Well done,
Flynn.
Dan!
Again, trying to put that one in. That might still work out for Highland. Highland does really well in front of Flav. The left cornerback stuck to his task really, really well. And in the end, that goes down as another wide, and that one hit by Derek Kerwin. There's 3 wides for Kildare.
And Kildare, particularly in the wet surface, it's going to be difficult. They're playing in a line, you know, one on top of the other, the 3 in the full forward line. Highland is playing closest to goal there. And while he won the ball, he just couldn't get away from his marker as it was recycled back. That's the second opportunity Kerwin has missed. He'll be frustrated with himself.
It's a great take. Centre back and captain David Highland. No ball put in there towards Kerwin. The pressure again from Kevin Flav, and the Douglas man, I think, left a hand in there just a little bit too long.
3-man cluster.
Yeah, Kerwin again trying to make up for his earlier miss. Again, showing a lot of strength, a lot of determination, and it's definitely a foul thrown in the hands there. Now there's an opportunity for Highland to close the deficit.
Jimmy Highland, against me in the Leinster semi-final last year, scoring 5 points, 3 from frees. Strikes this with his left, and he's done that well. Nice and easy one to start off with for the day for Jimmy Highland.
Kildare needed that. You know, Cork had really been the dominant side over the last 6 or 7 minutes, and they need to put pressure on this Cork defence, and that'll give Highland confidence. He's a player that, you know, brilliant underage player for Kildare, and whether he, you know, it's about can he establish himself at senior ranks.
Really interesting strategic battle going on below us here, and Micheál Martin's kickouts, and Kildare going with a zonal defence, I suppose, and marking on those kickouts, and Cork players then trying to find those little pockets of space, which they managed to do, and then they managed to find Brian Hurley. Hurley now with the left. Half block there, I think, from Owen Doyle, and in the end, Mark Donlan nice and composed in goals there.
Space to your left. Watch that cross kick to the right. Flav right.
Watch that crossfield kick to the right. That's the instruction coming from the Cork bench.
Well done, Flav, outside.
And again, here we go, bit of space again for Highland. Kerwin.
Good tackling.
Mahoney sticks with him, and again, this time it's the keeper at the other side of the pitch, Micheál Martin, who's composed under the ball. Again, really wet conditions here in Semple Stadium, even though the sun has come out over the last couple of minutes. That drizzle just continues to fall.
There's been opportunities missed and shots in the goalkeeper's hands very often in the modern game, leading themselves to counter-attacks. Unfortunately, you know, Cork were not able to move the ball quickly out of their defence in that stage to create an opportunity. Kildare able to funnel back and get plenty of numbers back.
And Hurley again. Pressure there on Sean White. He needs to be careful. And got the free there. Kind of similar enough to the incident earlier, Billy Joe, where Mark Dempsey kind of got involved when he didn't need to. I mean, if they had him boxed off there, they didn't really need to leave the hand in. No,
numbers in the right area. You have to show, in that case, Criven, and Flynn. Well, it's debatable. There's not much in it, but there are numbers there. In that situation, you just have to show patience. Try and delay. Delay is the word you need to there. Push them away from goals.
Carlo Mahoney. Mitchelstown man has won from play. Can he add this from the place ball, but he's driven that to the left and wide, and that's a third wide now for Cork after 14 minutes here in Semple Stadium. Ronan McCarthy there, former player himself, of course, from 97, 2002, won a Sigerson with UCC, and he's been there now with Cork since 2017. On the other side, there's Jack O'Connor, of course, 3 All-Irelands with Kerry. Vastly experienced, done with Pearce's man. He won't be too happy with that. Just skidding away from Ryan Houlihan. off the shoulder there from Rory Dean. And we'll come back here. Foul there. And you'd imagine Cathal O'Mahony, this one is just slightly closer to goal. And he'll fancy a crack at this as well. Or will he leave it to Brian Hurley?
It looks like Brian Hurley's going to take it. He's a good kicker of the ball. Again, you know, positive play by Rory Dean. It's Owen Doyle there with a lazy hand across, and they're very often given as frees. And now Hurley has the opportunity.
Brian Hurley, and that one is breaking in and around. But either way, it goes down as a wide.
Maybe that's one, yeah, Cathal O'Mahony should have taken.
He struck the last one beautifully. It just kind of tailed away at the end.
That's right.
Certainly had the distance. Donlan's kick out. Breaks, but breaks towards the Cork players and towards Colm O'Callaghan.
Right side, Nick. Further, right. Double, double.
Taylor. Towards O'Mahony. Nice work from O'Mahony. Puts that back towards Taylor. Taylor has a bit of space in front of him. Doyle coming across. And again, they'll definitely be frustrated. And Ronan McCarthy, the Cork manager, will definitely be frustrated with some of those opportunities. That 3 now that they've put into Mark Donlan's hands.
Yes, and really sharp play by O'Mahony, though. You know, that to manipulate the ball inside the defender and then find a good hand pass. And Taylor should have done a lot better. In those situations, when you come up from half back, you have to kick the ball dead. Give yourself an opportunity to get back and get reset.
Dempsey, nice hand pass, and there's a bit of space here. A bit unlucky there, Alex Byrne. He tried to find Paul Cribben. I think it was inside, but wasn't able to find the pass.
Yeah, the Kildare forwards very central. They're in a line up the field. I know it's hard to appreciate it on the screen, but players out the field are always a bit more uncertain about kicking balls to the wings in wet conditions because they're afraid of it slipping on the surface and going out over the sideline. Much more difficult than to play a ball into the forward line. And you can see Cork have adapted to that in the last couple of minutes by their 2 half-backs sitting kind of either side and protecting that easy pass.
Kevin Flynn, that hand pass into space. Derek Kerwin in front of O'Mahony. And the cornerback does well there. Keeps the pressure on. Doesn't concede the free.
Watch your in front.
And very tight in there now.
Right down.
Nicely done by Feely just to create a bit of space for himself, and he's done it again. Flynn. Oh, that's really good. Dean back there. Rory Dean with the vital interception just when it looked on for a Kildare score. Maguire. The conditions just getting the better of the Cork players there.
Yeah, lack of concentration, I think. You know, took his eye off the ball there, Colm O'Callaghan, and dropped it after some good movement or good play by Rory Dean and Maguire to that point.
Masterson. Cribben now. Advantage. Advantage. There we go. Here comes the Cork goalkeeper. Micheál Martin now looks up. Plenty of space now for Colm O'Callaghan. Gives an early pass to Brian Hurley. Hurley looks up. He sees 3 Kildare players inside. He sees 2 Cork, so he takes on Luke Flynn. Like we come to Dean. Hurley again. Lovely from Dean again. It's not the first time we've seen that little shimmy from him. Maguire. Just trying to put that one, angle that one towards John O'Rourke, and in the end, Doyle did enough, the Kildare cornerback. There's a man down here for Cork. Is it Sean Powder that's down? I think it is. just as he went for that, and again, yeah. Sean Meehan. So between Sean Meehan, the Cork full-back, and Daniel Flynn, both came across him, and whether it's his elbow or his shoulder that he's holding, but his physio, Brian O'Connell's keeping a close eye on him there.
Yeah, well, as the play was developing, Maurice Deegan beckoned the medical team on instantly, so he's got the best possible care, and hopefully he just needs to get himself back moving and be all right.
He's back up and about there.
On his right.
As we're watching now, Flynn again with the left, and Flynn drives that and drives it between the posts. That's lovely. He's a quality player.
Yeah, again, it's that pace and that power moving, and then the quick transition over to his left foot. He has a yard and backs himself and gets for such a big man, he got the ball to his boot really quickly. No chance of a block down there. Great play by Daniel Flynn.
Well, Billy Joe was talking about earlier, for all the possession that Cork have had as we come towards the first water break, they're only a point ahead. And Jack O'Connor, the Kildare manager, will be fairly happy with where his team are at after the opening 20.
He will, particularly when you come
for the lack of possession.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And when you come into a game like this, there's a lot of unknowns. You know, you have limited preparation. First game in a long time for a lot of these players. You don't really know how much work you have done compared to other teams. And there was a period there, you know, maybe 11, 12 minutes where Cork were 4-1 up. And a couple more scores from Cork there and makes things very difficult for Kildare. So it shows good mentality for them to get back into it, get those key scores. They haven't really played that well, but they're still right in this game. I think that on the other side, on the Cork side, they had a couple of opportunities that you noted drops into the goalkeeper's hands to extend that lead. They may be ruining those in the second half.
Well, indeed, as Billy Joe said, after 10 minutes, Cork were 4 points to 1 up. Solitary reply from Kildare came from Daniel Flynn. But since then, that Jimmy Hyland free after 12, and then the score from Daniel Flynn just there a couple of moments ago. And again, just kind of narrows that gap. But you see there, Cian O'Neill, I mean, again, I'm no good at the lip reading, unfortunately, so I can't work out exactly what he's saying. But again, just be interesting now, because we've seen that again when we came back from lockdown the last time. The impact of these water breaks as well, Billy Joe, because it gives the management and the selectors a chance just to have that reset, to kind of identify little things that haven't quite been working out, and maybe to reassess and to go with something different.
It's a coaching element. It definitely has a factor in that regard, and it gives the opportunity for the coaches to basically change something. And if you look at what Kildare could change, I think in wet conditions it's always harder to play that linear full forward line where you go 1, 2, 3 out, as opposed to flat or even 2 flat inside, because you're always running out into the corners and you're running away from goal to collect the ball. Cork have counteracted that by having their half-backs sit on kind of right and left to block the passing lanes in there. And it's interesting whether the teams will make changes like that, those sort of tweaks.
And again, in the context of no Muir Forna being allowed onto the pitch, it's a great opportunity to again just have those messages, have those little chats that heretofore you could have with your Muir Forna running onto the pitch and giving those instructions. Micheál Martin with the kick out gets us underway again for Cork. And Kevin O'Driscoll does well there. O'Driscoll, who got the last score for Cork after 10 minutes. They've had nothing for the last 11. John O'Rourke. Again, it's been a really nice battle between John O'Rourke and Cathal O'Mahony in the corners for Cork, and then the 2 cornerbacks for Kildare, Mark Dempsey and Owen Doyle. And again, that's, well, this is something for Maurice Deegan to look at again. I think maybe Paul Walsh, the Kanturk player, was slipping or certainly falling, was my initial take on it, but Alex Byrne, Kildare number 10, we'll see it here again, Billy Joe.
Yeah, well, Kevin Feely gave away the pass. It was really...
Yeah, it was the second one, really, wasn't it, from Kevin Feely, but it was coming down. Yeah,
he was sliding, and it's a yellow card for me. But he was frustrated with his initial. He played the hand pass in, that he gave the ball away. He reacted physically, you know, where he was frustrated with himself, and came in and kind of made a really rash tackle. And luckily that no one was hurt.
Good high low, good high low, good high low.
Again, I think Maurice Deegan just happy to take into consideration the conditions, and possibly that Paul Walsh was slipping after that initial contact from Alex Byrne.
It was reckless. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think anyone would have any complaints if it was yellow.
Maguire. Eddie Taylor back to Maguire. Maguire now on his right foot, and Maguire drives that between the posts, and that's lovely. And again, we're seeing it from Cork, we're seeing it from Kildare. When they inject that bit of pace into it, they're getting the results.
And that's really experienced play by Maguire. Finds himself out on the left wing, notices the space inside him and comes in at a diagonal run, collects the pass and knows that the next right thing to do is just slot it over. Showing all his experience and leadership there, Maguire.
Because again, Billy Joe, and it's difficult to see it at home when they don't have the pitch in front of them as we do, but when either team slows it down, Kildare and Cork are getting players back, and it just makes it so difficult to play that fast game.
You're right, and both teams are kind of mirroring each other in that the vast majority of their players are in the middle third. You know, you kind of have a 2-on-2 at each end, and everyone else is congregating in the middle of the field.
Full-back Sean Meehan doing really well there. It's a lovely play. If they do, well, they overplayed it then, just as I was saying. Lovely play. Gifted an opportunity to Paul Cribben. Paul Cribben thinks it's a score. Our players disagree, but you wouldn't expect anything less. Goes down as a wide.
You know, Martin moves it quickly out to Maguire, and Cork are here on the attack. And it's these sort of things, these sort of movements we haven't seen any success from either team. And I know conditions are difficult in this situation to move the ball quickly.
Dean again. Mahoney. Right, David Hyland, Kildare captain, in front of him, keeping a very close eye on him. And Hurley. Sean Powder, the Cork centre back, is after drifting up into the forward line to give an option. Oh, that's a lovely pass towards Maguire. He's after slipping inside. Cribben, he tried to hand pass it over the bar. He's appealing to Maurice Deegan that Cribben fouled him, but I think Cribben did really well to stick to the task there. We'll see it again, Billy Joe. Good
movement from Maguire again to get inside. And as he does go to fist it with his hand, Cribben gets a hand back in, but there's no way Maurice Deegan can see that on the opposite side. And it does impact on his execution of the hand pass score. But good last-ditch tackle from Cribben.
Maurice Deegan has the book out here, and Ryan Houlihan is the name going into Maurice Deegan's book, and that's the first name gone into the book this afternoon.
Yeah, we didn't see that one. Maybe we'll get an opportunity again.
Yeah. Watch it going long. Watch it coming through.
Really good win there from Kevin Feely. Foul on him there. Ian Maguire, I think, coming across his right peg as he was about to drive it into the full forward line, where you've got Kerwin and Hyland inside.
Sean Powder sitting in front of them. It's very difficult. Any ball that's going to go in there has to go left or right into the corners. And such a wide pitch here in Thurles that it's a long way back in to get in front of the goals to kick it over. Kildare again on the attack to Kevin Flynn.
And again, that's exactly what Billy Joe was talking about. Sean Powder is just sitting back there, and any ball that is in any way loose, he's just clearing it up.
I think you maybe could say that, like, I think it's a coaching change, and you can't blame the players that are in there for Kildare. They're young and inexperienced in Kerwin and Hyland. You know, they're bunched together. It's easier for the sweeper Powder to do his job then. He just has to stand in front of them. If they were wider, it's much more difficult to do your job as a sweeper.
Andy Taylor, left half back for Cork, the Mallow man. Goes back towards Rory Dean. Here's Kevin O'Driscoll again. O'Driscoll and Maguire, the midfield duo for Cork, really well this opening half. An effort there from Cathal O'Mahony, and that's really solid goalkeeping from Mark Donnellan.
Mark Donnellan watched that all the way. A unique strike there from O'Mahony. A really round the corner kick, and he did really well to get as much distance on it as he did.
Grady, vice captain for Kildare, usually experienced player. 66 appearances for the Lily Whites. Well, they thought it was difficult earlier trying to put it in there with Sean Powder back and in front of the two lads inside. There was 3 from Cork inside that time.
Yeah, Paul Walsh back there at right half back as well, so it was effectively a 5-on-2. And you kind of, in that situation when you're out the field, you can't force it. You have to realise that in that situation then it's about off the shoulder running, coming off the shoulder and trying to make use of the numbers you have in the middle third.
There's Kevin Flynn going into the notebook of Maurice Deegan, and that's the second yellow now for Kildare. Both wing backs into Maurice Deegan's notebook. does well to get a fist of that. He's taken a hit though. And again, talking about various rule changes and whatnot, and I don't want to preempt anything that might happen here, but Kevin O'Driscoll was hand on his heads, and obviously we have that rule change now in relation to the head injuries, which is a huge positive, Billy Joe, in relation to player welfare, and again, just looking after the interest of the 30 players that are out there on any given day.
Well, all you see there is both players committed to try and get the ball. Kevin Feely's just a bit later, and he makes contact, and it looks like, thankfully, O'Driscoll got it on the shoulder as opposed to the head. But you're right, the most important thing is the welfare of the players, and we have to be up to speed with all the changes in modern sport to protect against head injuries.
Indeed, the mantra is, if in doubt, sit them out. And again, really positive change there. But obviously great to see O'Driscoll is fine, and it wasn't a head injury, but again, really positive development in relation to head injuries in the GAA. Cork retaining possession since that water break. We've only had the one score, I think, and that's an Ian Maguire score for Cork. As that one is driven across, and that one is another one that goes wide for Cork, and that's 6 now that they've had that's wide as we look down below us here. Now we have a sub coming on. I think it's Neil Flynn coming on for Kildare, and he's coming on in place of Daniel Flynn. Well, Daniel is definitely carrying an injury there, seems to just have a bit of a limp, and with 2 points to his name so far, it's certainly not performance related, Billy Joe.
No, he's been Kildare's most effective attacker. Dynamic athlete, fast, great ball carrier. Definitely, a muscle injury. And I suppose that is the danger of a shortened pre-season. Players may not have had as much work done as they would normally at this stage in the season. Neil Flynn, on the other hand, is a player that can use both feet. He's a good, accurate footballer, and if he can get the ball in his hands, he can do damage.
Sean Powder, a little bit too close to Paul Cribben there. Morris Deegan with the whistle. To the last 5 minutes of this first half here in Semple Stadium. Division 2 south, of course, of the Alliance Football Leagues. New regional divisions that we have. Where's that going to break? Well, it's going to break here, and it's breaking towards Flynn, and Flynn drives that between the posts, and that is a lovely score from Luke Flynn, the midfielder for Kildare. And again, they're just sticking with Cork.
Yeah, his brother goes off injured, and he steps up and shows some leadership there, does the right thing, backs himself when he finds a yard of space and gets the shot away. Good score.
Martin goes long. That's taken really well there by David Hyland, the Kildare captain. Puts that in low towards Hyland. In front of O'Mahony. Nicely done. Derek Kerwin now settles himself. That is really smart play from Derek Kerwin, the Nace man. Just settled himself, created that bit of space, found his left peg.
Try and try again. He's been frustrated earlier in the game with opportunities that he's missed there, but that's really composed play and shows again the confidence that he has, that he didn't get disheartened by his earlier misses. Works hard, moves it off his right hand side onto his left, finds the yard of space and puts it through.
Now Martin trying to find his captain, Ian Maguire. It's a Kildare ball. Flynn, his first involvement of the afternoon is to find Paul Cribben. Cribben cuts across Sean-Main. Cribben with an effort, and well, hands straight to the head. He's disappointed with that, and he's right to be. He did everything right, apart from the execution.
Neil Flynn, showing his quick thinking, quick sideline, puts Cribben into a bit of space. Felt maybe the Cribben could have gone another 2 yards on before he cuts to the right. Cutting in on his right side is the right thing to do, takes the defender out of it, but unfortunately couldn't wrap his foot around it enough.
Nicely done. Maguire bats that one down towards Dean. Sean White now to John O'Rourke. Bit of space in front of him.
Post!
O'Rourke, that's lovely. It's route one, but it's so effective when it's done well. Micheál Martin, Maguire batted it down, and eventually it's a great score.
O'Rourke again, finds a bit of space, turns inside, keeps it low off his right boot and right through. Good football by Cork there, good response to Kildare's period of dominance.
It's a second point of the afternoon as well for John O'Rourke, as Cork go a point ahead as we near the end of this first half. Some reports that, as Billy Joe alluded to, that it is a muscle injury and potentially a hamstring injury for Daniel Flynn as well. Obviously with Offaly Louth in the Leinster Championship awaiting Kildare, they'll be keeping a very close eye on how that develops over the coming week, I suppose, and how that injury settles. Lovely from Cribben. Cribben learnt his lesson from the previous 2 efforts that he put wide. Third time lucky. Lovely score from Cribben.
Again, it was good play again by Derek Irwin. You know, he was persistent, but the ball eventually finds its way out to Cribben, and he just gets his hands on it in time and does the right thing. You know, nothing more, just take your shot on and get it away before the block comes in. Really, really good score.
Need a break, Kildare! We need one!
And since that water break, Kildare have gotten 3 points and Cork have registered 2. It's nicely done by Kevin Flynn and Feely.
Inside! Inside! Crowder! Crowder! Hold on!
Just for a second there, the Kildare inside line managed to get a yard or 2 of space ahead of their Cork markers, but they just weren't able to get the ball in quickly enough to them, and by the time they did, again, just that split second of a difference that gives the opportunity to the backs to settle, get their structure. Rory Dean, too many steps, and back we come. And Brian Hurley isn't one bit happy with that decision by Maurice Deegan.
He's a good ball carrier, Rory Dean. You know, tight solo. Yeah, he's taken too many steps there, so it's a good call by Maurice Deegan.
And again, that's the patience that you'd expect from the Kildare players. Owen Doyle and Ryan Houlihan doing really well. Just to stick with him, and he knew they were there. We'll have 3 minutes additional time at the end of this first half here in Semple Stadium. Cork against Kildare in the Alliance Football League's Division 2 South. And down Mayo, Meath and Westmeath are in the other half of the division, if you like. Clare and Laois play tomorrow in Cusack Park. And each of those teams will be guaranteed 4 games, 3 in the division, and then either a semi-final or a relegation semi-final, depending on where they end up in the league table. But for Cork and Kildare, it's Clare and Laois that they have to occupy themselves with for the first 3 rounds, and then see where they end up.
It's a real opportunity for Kildare, really, when you know they're having to play. They're playing Cork in a neutral venue, and then they'll have. I think they have their last game in Newbridge, and they're very good record there. So this is a very important game for them. If they can get the win here, it puts them in a good position. Or whoever really gets the win in such a reduced amount of games, puts you in a good position.
Really clever play from Colin O'Callaghan to retain possession there. Just let the ball run away from him. Knew that he was in danger of doing the second hop. But again, the Kildare defence just showing that patience that was maybe lacking early in the game.
You can be sure that's something that maybe Cian O'Neill was talking about at the water break. They found themselves in good positions, lots of bodies back, and it was just a lack of discipline, maybe lazy tackling that cost them to give away frees, and you don't want to be giving away cheap scores like that in close games.
Kevin Feely, again, chatting before the game, was he going to see a lot of ball in and around the square? Well, he hasn't. He's been in and around centre forward, in and around midfield. His influence has been limited enough in this first half, but again, a player of his calibre, all he needs is one opportunity. Kevin O'Driscoll certainly isn't giving them too much space inside there.
Apart for those early stages, he has been operating around the middle of the field. He's a really good ball player. He's a really good kick passer, and Kildare really look to him to try and make the play.
Neil Flynn with the right foot drives that. And that is a wonderful score from Neil Flynn. And I make that, Billy Joe, that's the first time in this afternoon that Kildare have gone into the lead just before the break.
And since the water break, they have been the better team, and Neil Flynn has that in his locker. He's a really accurate footballer, good striker of the ball. But that was a beautiful strike there. He just nonchalantly strolled up to it, and a wet ball as well. I know the conditions are really underfoot. It's a solid surface, but great free.
Their career to date, he's 3 goals and 135 points. To make that 136, plenty of experience. that is the half-time whistle from Maurice Deegan. And we see there Daniel O'Mahony. He's had a great little battle in the corner there with Derek Kerwin. And Kildare will certainly be the happier leaving the field there, and Masterson there leaving the field there. A point to the good at the break here in Semple Stadium. And there you have it, Cork, the home team playing in the home of hurling. They've got 6 points. Kildare have 7. That's where we're at half-time.
Oh my gosh!
Alliance, we cover courage. We are born, the sides are level, and the game begins. Fear is a tough opponent. It can take an early lead. Courage is more unpredictable. It takes courage to play the game of your life.
Oh my gosh!
And there's no better training ground
Oh my gosh!
than the Alliance Leagues. Alliance, we cover courage.
Oh my gosh!
Alliance, we cover courage.
But back here to Semple Stadium, and as you can see, well, it's just a funny old day in terms of conditions. No breeze, but we've had everything in between. We've had hailstones, we've had rain, we've had sunshine, and it looks like Kildare coming out onto the pitch. The conditions, Billy Joe, I mean, they have played a part. It's been messy, the ball has been slipping, but in particular, I think from a Cork point of view, some of those opportunities that have just dropped short into Mark Donnellan, and they'll rue those opportunities, I think, at the end of the game, in particular if it stays like this.
It is difficult, particularly on a hard surface when you have a slippy ball. It just, once it hits the grass at all, it goes away from you. But I think for Cork, coming into the season, they would definitely have been looking at trying to improve their offensive output. You know, in the Munster final against Tipperary last year, you know, they struggled really to create anything. And again, for long periods of this game, they've had possession, they've been able to pin Kildare in, but haven't been able to turn that territory into scores. And we've seen opportunities where they've dropped the ball into the keeper's hands. You've seen situations maybe where they've even missed a couple of frees. There was a couple of frees that they, you know, Hurley took one maybe he shouldn't have taken. Those are the sort of things where you have to be clinical. You have to take those chances.
Absolutely. There's Paul Cribben, who got a lovely point towards the end of that first half. And again, he started the game really, really brightly. Kind of went out of the game for a bit then, but then came back into it. And again, we see Jack O'Connor there, his team out in the pitch good and early. No sign yet of Ronan McCarthy's side. It's been a difficult time for everyone during COVID. But for Cork's point of view, like not having your manager around for the guts of 12 weeks, he's only come back in there during the week after serving that suspension for their training session, whatever you want to call it, on Youghal Beach there early January. It's been difficult, but what they've shown there in the first half, glimpses of promise. And again, we saw last year with their win against Kerry and obviously getting to that Munster final, they'd be disappointed with how they played. But I mean, like, Ronan McCarthy will feel that he has a foundation and he has something there to work with, and he just needs to see a little bit more of it now in the second half.
Yeah, and as I said, I think the key thing for them will be getting more scores. You see them, the organisation, you look at what they have in the middle of the field, and Ian Maguire and Kevin O'Driscoll, you know, fine players, big, strong physical presence, good ball players. You know, Pouters, you know, playing as the sweeper there fairly effectively. They seem to be doing well in the one-on-one situations defensively as well. It's about getting those scores. And at the other hand, you look at Kildare as well. Like, how frustrating has it been for Jack O'Connor? You know, a man with his experience. The things that he would want to do and develop with this Kildare team have been totally frustrated, I'm sure, because he just hasn't had the time.
And again, last year, I mean, like, the narrative is that they lost the semi-final to Meath, but they're 6 points up at half-time, 10-4, playing great stuff. And yet they lose, and then they've got the last 5-6 months to kind of be mulling about that and whatnot, and here they're finally back out and a chance to put those wrongs right, maybe.
And maybe for both teams there's a similar, I suppose, the same thing is missing for both teams, and that it's that consistency. You see them play well for periods in a game. Cork against Kerry last year, or even Kildare for periods of games, up, as you said, up 6 points against Meath. It's about being able to see that out for 70 minutes and then go back next week and doing it again.
Well, there is Brian Hartnett, the Douglas man. He is on for the second half. Haven't heard yet or seen yet who's gone off, but we'll try to get that confirmed for you as quickly as we can. But Mars Deegan has the ball in his hands. He's thrown it up, and Ian Maguire, does he get that first possession? Well, he'll get the free kick. He'll leave it to Rory Dean, and Rory Dean with the left drives that low over towards the sideline, and Hurley is running towards it, and that was silly from Mick O'Grady. With his experience, debut in 2014, he should have just left that run.
And that's the points we're making in the first half, when you're kicking out towards the sideline, the ball just runs away from you. But you're right, you know, like some of the mistakes Kildare made in the early stages of the first half, totally unnecessary.
Brian Hartnett, his substitution there at half-time, an early touch, he puts that back towards Paul Walsh, who's fouled, and we should have an opportunity here for Brian Hurley.
Yeah, Walsh, good line coming in there, and Feely just finds him letting Paul Walsh inside, and he's pulled and dragged at him there, definite free, and Mars Deegan's right on the spot to call it.
Brian Hurley, so with an opportunity at the start of the second half. Hurley takes that with his right, and we're level at the start of the second half. Good start for Cork, as they had at the start of the first half, and a second point for Hurley.
Cork, you know, their 6 forwards all pressing up here, trying to put pressure on Mark Donald's kick out, force them to go long. And Mars Deegan has seen something there that's keeping the pressure on Kildare, and Cork are going to move it again.
That change has now been confirmed, and it is Colm O'Callaghan who has left the pitch for Cork. And as I said, Brian Hartnett is on, and he's had an early touch, and he's set up a score for Cork, which Brian Hurley got from a free. Here's Matty Taylor, who was very lively in that first half, in particular himself, and John O'Rourke in the full forward line for Cork. There's Conor O'Mahony doing well to keep that one in, over by the sideline. Kevin Flynn tried to do something similar, but Mars Deegan wasn't having it. He saw it as an attempted pass and a foul pass as a result.
I think the linesman there, Liam Duvney, he had called it out. It's just a throw, like it's not, there's no clear striking action there, but the ball might have been out of play before he even attempted it. Kildare line ball.
David Hyland looks forward, but comes back towards Mark Donlan. Hyland. And that's the two full forwards coming together there, and Brian Hurley and Kevin Feely certainly a little bit worse for wear then. And again, just both of them going for us, and well, absolutely, there's nothing malicious or anything like that in that, Billy Joe. It's just
both of them
honest
going for
attempts.
Yeah, both of them going for the ball. I think Hurley realises at the last second that there's going to be a big collision and tries to get out of it, but you know, you can't in that situation. You've committed to it. And I suppose we were talking about head injuries earlier in the first half, and this is a situation where if you're in doubt, take them out of it there. So we just hope that everyone's okay.
Again, it's temporary substitutions regarding the head injury, if instructed by the referee. So the medics, in consultation with the referee then, and that player can temporarily leave the field. And there's no time limit then on any temporary replacement or somebody leaving the field, and certainly Brian Hurley, who seemed to take a bit of a step, and again, decision taken there by the Cork doctor, and again pointing to the head, and it'll be a temporary replacement, I'd imagine, on the basis that he can come back and all is well, of course. And we'll see who comes on for Brian Hurley, and it's 24 that comes on, which is Dan Deneen. Dan Deneen has come on for Cork, the Kilnamartyr man. He's on instead of Brian Hurley, and Brian will get all the time and the care he needs to make sure he's all right to resume play, or if not, I said Dan Deneen is on in his place. Kerwin. Dan Deneen is only in, and he's gotten to know Dara Kerwin there, but Dara Kerwin has come out on top in that little exchange.
Again, very, very proactive play by Kerwin. In the first half, he kept trying to take his man on. All right, a couple of things didn't come off for him. He got a great score, but he's been persistent throughout. And that's just very, very good play. Backs himself, moves inside, it's a free, and he's given Neil Flynn an opportunity now to add to the scoreboard.
Neil Flynn looks up towards the town end, and he's hit that between the posts. That's a lovely score from Neil Flynn, his second since coming on for his brother, and both from frees. Cork goalkeeper with the kick out towards Ian Maguire. It goes over his head, and despite the best efforts of Rory Dean, that goes out over the sideline, and it'll be a line ball to Kildare.
Yeah, it could have worked out much worse from Neil Maguire. Was outnumbered there in a 2-on-1 situation, and in many ways it's the best possible outcome.
Maurice Deegan is looking to chat to someone here, and I think that is Sean Meehan, the Cork full-back. Message himself and Feely going into Maurice Deegan's notebook.
Feely's been heavily involved. He was looking maybe not to get a yellow card earlier in the first half, so he'll have to be careful now. And
3 yellows now to Kildare players: Kevin Flynn, Ryan Hoolan and Kevin Feely now, and that's the first yellow of the afternoon to Sean Meehan, the Cork full-back. 8-7, Kildare ahead still by a point. There's the margin at the break, and it's still the margin early in the second half. Here's an effort here from Derek Kerwin with the left, and that's a lovely score from Kerwin. And again, we see it again, Billy Joe, when he creates the space for himself, the left peg is able to do the rest.
It shows his strength again. His work is very similar, really backing himself, really trying to make something happen. Shows the strength to move to his left. You know, he's missed a couple of shots earlier on. He got one with his left foot. He's now got 2 points from play. Really, really good finish. And he's a young player for Kildare that's shown a lot of leadership out there. It's really positive showing for him so far.
He started in that semi-final against Meath last year, got 2 points. And again, a game that was going so well for Kildare up to the break. 6 points up, 10-4. But then that second half capitulation, really. Meath finishing the game with 5-9, Kildare with 15 points.
Rory Dean, you know, moving the ball, really good ball handling there. You know, Jinks from one side moves onto his right and moves the ball into the space between the two defenders, and kind of invites the free.
O'Mahony. Score after 3 minutes from play. Another one that he hit wide. And that's the second that he has put over the bar. The way the umpires were looking at each other, they weren't so sure, but that's a score.
The way he was looking at it himself, I wasn't so sure. It looked like maybe he left it a bit too close, but he got it, and that's all that matters.
Second point of the afternoon. Donlan with the kick out. Over here towards Feely. Hartnett. Space for the Douglas man. It's in towards Dineen. It's really good cornerback play there from Mark Dempsey. He still has it though. Really tight in there, and in the end, Blair backs did really well. When Kevin Flynn, Dempsey, and I think Owen Doyle was in there giving him a dig out as well. That was really good work from the backs.
Yeah, very difficult for Cork to create anything in that situation. You see, having the numbers there and having the right, you know, discipline, but the right level of intensity as well.
What's going on here in the centre? Line. Kevin O'Driscoll, watch your back. Hard this track.
Mark Donlan from his goal. And pass over towards Kevin Flynn.
Hello, Monty.
Nice read of the play there from Paul Walsh. The Kanturk man just moved across, cut out that space. And Matty Taylor now tried to go on a bit of a run, but he was stopped. Dean looks up. Could be. Oh, that is really well done. Again, the Kildare backs just learning their lessons from early in the game. Now they're working together, they're being patient.
On the back.
Plenty of space here now for Rory Dean, Bantry Bluesman.
He's finding himself in a lot of space in this second half, and he's a good ball carrier, can create stuff. Kildare again with a lot of numbers back.
Maguire. John O'Rourke. Taylor's further back, but he goes to Kevin Flav, and now Matty Taylor gets the ball. Must we go again towards Kevin O'Driscoll, Cork's clubman. A lovely score in that first half. White, again, they're just retaining possession really well here. Of course, just as I say that, they lose it. Hartnett will get it back, and they'll build again through their captain, Ian Maguire.
It's good defending by Kildare. Kildare have 13 bodies back inside their own 45. They're well spaced out across the field, and once Cork into the 45, they're really pressurising them hard. And in the first half, we saw a couple of one instance in particular where Cork were able to get the score.
Dean, that's nicely done, and then just the finish in the end, just not quite there from O'Mahony, and he's furious with himself. And Ronan McCarthy, his manager, is laughing it off. Can't quite believe it, because they did everything right up to that point.
They did, and he saw Kevin Flynn coming towards him to maybe block it down, and he just snatched that with his left foot. Again, it was really good play by Rory Dean, running straight at the defence, carrying the ball in both hands where he can go left or right, finds the right pass, and it's an opportunity missed.
Dempsey finds Aaron Masterson. Moorfield clubmen. Pass from Hyland across to Kevin Flynn. He has it back again from Luke Flynn.
Get across, Carl!
Mick O'Grady. An angled ball low and in towards Hyland. Jimmy Hyland does really well. Oh, this could work out, and he makes his way in towards. Oh, that could still.
In the square,
Well, in the end, hit the post, came out, deflection. And in the end, I think we've a 45, but we're going to have to look at that one again. It just looked like it was going to be a straightforward point over the bar, and it just opened up suddenly.
Yeah, Sean Meehan slipped, and he gets inside then, and he maybe should have looked inside and tried to square it. And then when it does come across, it's volleyed. And then at the end, there's more for comedy effect. Sean Meehan tries to keep it in with his head.
Well, indeed, it was Cribben anyway with the volley. And in the end, Sean Meehan was able to put it out
trying
for
to
the
keep it in with his head. Yeah, good effort, that.
Yeah. Well, either way, a 45 for Kildare, for Neil Flynn. But it was Paul Cribben who came in with the volley, and I think it may even have hit Mick O'Grady, who'd slipped up into the forwards. But as Billy Joe said there, the last touch did come off the Cork full-back, and it is a 45 for Neil Flynn. It just opened up there suddenly, and
well, and it's the only goal chance that Kildare have scored, and I think Kildare are very poor. I think they have only scored one goal in their last 8 games, and they really have to capitalise on those, and they kind of butchered that one, to be honest.
That is a lovely strike from Neil Flynn. It's his 3rd score since coming on for his brother, but that is maybe his. Oh, that's just wonderful, the way he just cuts across that ball.
Yeah, he's
effortless.
Beautiful striker of the ball, can kick with both feet, has great range in his free taking, obviously, when he strokes a 45 like that.
Decent pair of classic football boots on him as well. Back in our vintage, Billy Joe. They're still going strong, obviously. He's able to buy them somewhere. That is a massive effort there from Paul Cribben. It's high and it's over. Well, that's now brilliant from Kildare from the start of the second half. That's 4 that they have received, that they've got.
And when
Brilliant.
Talk about backing yourself, and Paul Cribben got a lovely point in the first half, and he's been very involved in the play, but like under severe pressure there, where he kicks it over a block and gets it over the block and gets enough on it to drop it over the crossbar. Great play.
Again, it's funny what momentum can do for a team, because all that momentum is with Kildare at the moment. They're just buzzing around the place, and here is an effort. Oh, that's a brilliant finish! Kevin Flynn from the half-back line. Look what it means to him. But again, it was the interplay. They didn't mess about. They went at pace. And a lovely finish in the end.
It's all about Dara Curran. Dara Curran comes out here, wins that ball, picks it up. That's an inch perfect hand pass. Flynn is flying through there and does really well, takes his points to put him into space. And for a team that has not scored goals, he shows amazing composure. Side-footed slot into the bottom of the corner. For a half-back, that's just unbelievable composure. Great goal, exactly what Kildare needed.
What I was saying there about momentum, that's 1-2 from Kildare in the last 90 seconds or so. It's been brilliant from them. Here's Cork. Can they get an immediate reply? Oh, well, it's over the bar. Great pressure from Mark Donlan, the goalkeeper, on Ian Maguire there.
Yeah, Rory Dean again, that left side of the field. Maguire, such a big, strong man, puts himself in the edge of the square. Mark Donlan comes out bravely. And Maguire just can't get over the ball high enough to slap it into the net, and can only get enough to brush the crossbar as it goes over.
But again, a good reaction from Cork, but they need more of that. They're 5 points behind now as we look there, and I think it's the goal scorer that's down. I think that's Kevin Flynn.
Well, he's bound to be breathing heavily after, you know, his sprint up the other end to slot it in the back of the net, and then instantly it's a quick turnaround and he's under pressure defensively down this end. So the breather will do him no harm.
It certainly won't. We're just waiting for Maurice Deegan's whistle, and we've got it here now. So underway again here in Semple Stadium. Again, the first game in the Division 2 South of the Alliance Football League. Clare against Laois playing tomorrow in that divisional in Cusack Park. Down, Mayo, Meath and Westmeath, the other 4 teams in the Division 2 North. Neil Flynn goes ahead. Neil Flynn carries into contact but does well to put that back towards Alex Byrne. And they found Paul Cribben but fouled the ball, and it's a free for Cork, and Cork really need to move it on. Substitution coming on here for Kildare. It's Con Kavanagh are coming on here for Kildare. And I think it's Ryan Houlihan coming off. He was awarded a yellow card in that first half, so probably wise decision from Jack O'Connor. They're carrying 3 yellow cards, maybe just take one of them off.
Well, you know, that middle third, you have to have energy. You have to, in the second half, even if a fella has played well, you have to keep bringing in fresh legs into that area of the field, because it really is the engine room. And when you're on top, you have to make that advantage count.
Con Kavanagh, the Sarsfields man, is on for the last 20 minutes or so, as we see Rory Dean there going into Maurice Deegan's book. And I'd imagine it's a yellow, and indeed it is. Didn't really see what happened there, but certainly a yellow, and a second yellow for Cork.
Stop here. Good, Alex.
Paul Walsh with the free kick for Cork.
Go side, Nick, go side, Nick. Drop, Tyler, drop outside, Tyler.
Spilt from Dean, but he'll get it back here. That one back towards Sean White. Sean White now towards Cathal O'Mahony. And again, that's a wild one, and they might just manage to keep that in play through John O'Rourke, which they do. And Deneen gets that back towards Sean Meehan. Paul Walsh, the right half back. 45, and he drives that in, but that one has gone wide.
Cork really running out of ideas there in that situation. Now, I'm sure that they obviously feel under pressure with time ticking on, 5 points down, and they have to generate a bit of momentum and create some scoring opportunities, but they've missed a couple of easy opportunities with Cathal O'Mahony earlier on this half, and you get the feeling that they're trying to force things.
There is Brian Hurley, and obviously he was taken off for that temporary head replacement, but he is staying off. And again, one of the new rules that have been brought in by the GA, and seeing it in its being used there. And we wish Brian obviously well and a speedy recovery from that very heavy collision that he had with Kevin Feely. And we have our second water break of the afternoon. Well, Kildare were a point up at the break, Billy Joe, but they're 5 up now, and really that 1-2 in the 90 seconds or so that they scored. I mean, it was superb stuff, and there's congratulations for Kevin Flynn there, who buried it, and we'll see his goal here again.
Yeah, a great hand pass again by Dara Kerwin, just, you know, right into strike. Like, all right, it wasn't perfect. Kevin Flynn does well to adjust his body to collect it, but then this is all about composure. Uses the bounce to bring him through past into a bit of space, and then side foot it into the corner. Brilliant goal. Just coming up from half-back, and that's what you want from your half-back in the modern game, is to be able to contribute in an attacking sense. But what he did there was exceptional.
Just the way he kind of, again, composed himself and kind of just showed and sent Micheál Martin the opposite direction. I'll make no puns there in relation to going to the right or going to the left in relation to Micheál Martin. We'll leave it there. But Micheál Martin, like, he's only conceded, I think it's 4 goals for Nemo in the championship this year. He's so consistent. Obviously that county final still to be played between Nemo and Castlehaven. I think it's been penciled in for the weekend of August 6 to 8. But he's a top-class goalkeeper, and again, just to send him the other way for a right half-back.
Well, it's you know, the goalkeeper.
Remark to all right half-backs there, I must say, but
the goalkeeper, you know, had no chance there, because Kevin Flynn does everything right. You know, he centres himself, and you know, he uses the bounce to get himself central, travelling at pace, and he obviously has a clear idea about what he's going to do, and then side foots it low into the corner. A really composed finish, and as I said, like, Kildare haven't scored goals. Scoring goals has been a problem for Kildare. Maybe it's taken some of their half-backs to come up and get the scores because their forwards aren't able to do it. But I would guess that it's something that they've been working on in these early weeks and months of the season, and Jack O'Connor, I think, will be happy with that move.
Certainly will. Again, we saw Cian O'Neill down there and giving instructions to the Cork players. In addition to Ronan McCarthy, obviously Sean Hayes is there, Bobby O'Dwyer and John Hayes as well. And again, that's their last opportunity to have a quick chat and a catch-up with the players before the end of this game.
The water break in the first half was a real benefit to Kildare. Now, can it be the same for Cork? Can the right messages be sent across, and can the players react to get themselves back into this game?
And Conor Hartley is after coming on for Kildare. There's Sarsfield's player. Alex Byrne has left the field. And Fergal Conway is also after coming on for Luke Flynn for Kildare. And that's 2 changes, and indeed there's Fergal Conway, the Selbridge man, his first involvement in the game.
He's just coming back from injury, a player with loads of experience, very versatile, physical, can play anywhere in the middle third, and Kildare will be looking for him to show his experience and to close out this game.
Yeah, made his debut way back in 2014 against Mayo. And, there's plenty of experience, as Billy Joe was saying there. Great to be able to bring that kind of experience off the bench to hopefully see it through for Kildare.
Maybe that's an advantage that Kildare have, considering they've you know, I suppose they've yo-yoed between Division 1 and Division 2, but they've played at that higher level maybe than Cork have for a number of years. So they have the players with that experience to bring in, or the squad with that experience. You know, when you add those young players like Kerwin and Highland to that.
Kevin Flav.
Go side. Right side. Stay go.
Sean White, centre forward for Cork. And just retaining possession, but 13 Kildare players back there. In the end, they managed to get it to Dean. Nice pass inside towards O'Mahony. O'Mahony with his right. At the 5th time, 6th time, maybe Mark Donlan in goals for Kildare. He's managed to, under no pressure really, he's just been really comfortable under loose balls and balls dropping short like that.
A ball like that can be awkward in a situation, but Donlan was really cool, and it's another missed opportunity for Cork. I think that was, you know, O'Mahony was going to try and slot that over the bar. He was much too far out to try a shot at goal. Donlan deals with it easily, and Kildare now are controlling possession and trying to keep Cork pinned in.
No statistician, but I think it's 9 wides for Cork, as well as all those balls that they've dropped short into Donlan's hands. So again, is that something that they're going to rue from the 70 minutes? Feely does really well. There could be something on here for Kildare, for Kerwin. Here's Jimmy Highland back towards Kerwin. Well, that's a good block there from Paul Walsh, I think it was. Micheál Martin will collect this one. No Rangers keeper. Again, it's just interesting looking at Kildare and how they shape up. While kind of Cork are trying to work that out of their backs, Kildare are just funneling the players back, making sure they have the numbers back there. And again, it's that man with the number 4 in his jersey, Owen Doyle, who's just keeping an eye on things, making sure that nothing gets too loose back there. And when you think of the experience that Doyle has, made his debut way back in 2012, he's exactly the type of player you want back there, instructing the younger lads around him. And again, really loose pass from Sean Powder there, asked far too much from Sean Meehan.
Yeah, it's just really disjointed from the Cork attack at this stage. It was a huge problem for them last year against Tipperary in the Munster final. It's been a problem again today. You know, particularly when you're losing Hurley, and I know it's important that he gets the correct care and a head injury in that situation. But he really is probably the most experienced and their best forward. And even in the first half, he probably didn't get scores other than frees, but he was winning a lot of possession and moving people around up there, so that they really are missing him.
They certainly are. And that was a really nice take inside there. Super stuff from Jimmy Hyland.
So the peace of mind then to take his mark, because it really had no support. It's the first mark of the day on my count.
Is he going to go for it? He is, and that is a brilliant score from Jimmy Hyland. Again, had the peace of mind to take it, knowing there was no support. Look at that.
Yeah, it takes it really, like, for such a young player. We know he's talented. That's very clear thinking. He hasn't been on the ball a lot, but that's a really important contribution.
We've got a double substitution here for Cork. Kevin O'Donovan and Kieran Sheehan are both on. And we see there, I think it's Kevin O'Driscoll has left the field, as has Sean Powder. And that's brilliant to see Kieran Sheehan back. Obviously won an All-Ireland in 2010. Great to see himself listed amongst the substitutes. But again, in terms of the depth that Cork do have, I mean, there's still no place for the likes of Mark Collins, Luke Connolly, Michael Hurley, these kind of players. But again, great to see Kieran Sheehan there. 23 on his back. And it's Con Kavanagh from Kildare that's keeping a close eye on Sheehan for the last 10-11 minutes or so of this game here in Semple Stadium. And again, another loose pass, and you know, as good as Kildare have been at times, Billy Joe, I mean, at Cork have really, that's brilliant skill from Dara Kerwin. Dara Kerwin gives that to Hyland. They deserve something here. They've caught it. Dara Kerwin, he set up the goal for Kevin Flynn earlier, and his chip lift there was, I mean, it was the stuff of dreams, Billy Joe.
Yeah, ball running away, slippy surface, really backs himself. Such confidence, such skill. And then the left-handed hand pass, great range of skills there, puts Hyland in. Micheál Martin has to make the decision to come out, doesn't get there. And then Hyland doesn't rush it, shows the composure and slots it in the corner. Great goal by the two young Kildare forwards. Kildare people will be delighted to see those young players working in tandem to great effect.
That was brilliant, really was. And again, if you look at the last 10-11 minutes, Kildare have scored 2-2. Cork have scored a solitary point through their captain Ian Maguire, and in this second half, really 3 points for Cork, and it's been, well, 2-4 I make it for Kildare, Billy Joe.
Really, Kildare have been the better team, as I said, since the first water break. They've you know, and sometimes you can't get that. As I said, we've said it on numerous occasions already today, that we don't really know where players are starting from, and definitely Kildare were rusty in those early first 20 minutes, but they've been the dominant force since. They've got better and better as this game has gone on. Neil Flynn coming out onto the ball now has made a difference. You know, Daniel Flynn was playing well for Kildare. It's a shame that he's lost, but they have seem to have found a right balance. Cribben has been involved.
Is that gonna creep in? Oh, they've given it as a wide, and I don't know. We'll see it again. I don't think we're going to see any better view here, and that's no fault to the camera operator. It was just such a high booming kick. So I think it goes down as a wide for Kildare anyway.
Cribben got one, 15 minutes ago, where he kicked it very high as well and looped it over a block. That one again looks like it just went over the post from where we're standing here in the commentary box. So I think the umpires made the right call.
There's another good take there in midfield by Kevin Flynn.
Keep the ball! Keep the ball! Move it! Walshy, my call! Step right, Walshy!
Conway. Neil Martin doing well under that one. It's cynical there. David Hyland, their captain. There's no doubt about that, just pulling back Dan Deneen's jersey. Murphy is coming in here for Cork. He's going to replace Rory Dean.
Rory Dean's worked hard. He's created a couple of opportunities in the second half. You know, he's a middle third player. If Cork really need to find some sort of scoring power in the edge of the square, and that's really what they're missing.
Hold it! Hold on left! Kev, stay! Left, Kev! Can't go left, Mickey, can't go left.
What is left for Cork? Can they get some kind of a reaction in this last 6-7 minutes?
Go, Kev. Go side, Con. Yes!
It's a wide, and it's Kieran Sheehan off the left boot.
Kildare really in control there. You can even see in that passage of play there as Cork moved the ball to the wing. The whole Kildare defence moves across, taking away all the space, and Sheehan then only has an option for an outside shot, which had, you know, very low probability.
Mark Donlan, no rush at all to take this kick out. A nice comfortable position for Kildare to be in now as we head into the last 6 minutes or so. For next weekend, Kildare will be taking on Clare in St. Conleth's Park, and Laois will be taking on Cork. And Laois will be at home for that one. And Sheehan does well there.
Drop high low.
Murphy first touch for the St. Vincent's man.
Get in! Man!
The referee spotted a pull in the jersey.
Don't drink.
Yeah, in those situations, Paul Cribben, you know, he'd a hand on the back initially, and very often the ref deems that to be a push, and then at the end there he just a slight pull on the jersey. Well spotted.
Hands up!
O'Mahony, Mitchelstown man. He's had 2 scores so far this afternoon. Steadies himself with the right foot. And he's got that one. It's a 3rd score of the day for Cathal O'Mahony. Now with 10 points after 65 minutes. There's an O'Neill size 5. It'll go down as a... Well, they managed to get it down in the end. It might have been a collector's item for a young boy or girl during the week, but managed to get it down. Good work from Donlan.
Kildare are in no rush to make the restart. And Donlan will take his time using all his experience. He has Kevin Feely in the middle of the field if he feels he needs to go long. The Cork bench now are kicking an extra ball onto the field, and Donlan kicks it back at them.
Shane O'Sullivan wearing number 24, Clane man, he's on. Jimmy Hyland leaves the field. Job done, you'd imagine, at this stage for Jack O'Connor's men. And again, in the context of this new season, I suppose, Billy Joe, and those divisional teams, the 3 games in the regular season, if you like. I mean, like, losing your first game really puts the pressure on now for next weekend, doesn't it?
It sure does. You have to. It's so important to get an early win, because if you don't, you're reliant on them turning it around for the next 2 weeks, and it's hard. It's hard when you haven't played in so long. When you lose, that hits your confidence, and it's going to be hard for Cork to turn it around now and put in a positive performance. Whereas on the other hand, Kildare will bounce into next week's training.
Darren Malone, Alan Wood has come on there for Paul Cribben. Looks like Ty Corkery, the monster man, is going to come on as well for Ian Maguire, I think. Indeed, that change is happening now down below us here. Ian Maguire, the Cork captain, disappointed with the afternoon and how it's played out, but important that they just pull their socks up and go at it again next week. And hopefully, if Brian Hurley's okay and he comes through the protocols that he'll have to go through and make sure he's all good, again, they can go at it and just refocus on playing against Laois next week.
For Jack O'Connor as well, he'll be delighted with the way his young players in particular have contributed. And you see another player that they talk a lot about in Kildare, and Shane O'Sullivan, getting an opportunity now, but it's so much easier for him going into next week with Highland and Kerwin having shown you something positive in an attacking sense.
Right channel, right channel, right channel. Con, see him, Con.
Cork on the attack here now. Dan Deneen to Sheehan. Doyle coming across him.
Come.
This might still work out for Cork, but Dan Deneen, brave. Finds Sheehan. As we're looking on here, in terms of who's kind of stood out for you this afternoon, Billy Joe, in terms of the Alliance man of the match, I suppose, look, from a Cork point of view, maybe it's performances in the first half, but it's really been all Kildare. Really from that first water break, as you mentioned earlier, as we watch Kieran Sheehan, I think, registering a score there. Nice score.
Yeah, he does really well there, and it's probably a long time since he scored a competitive score for Cork, but shows all his quality there, finds the space and makes the right decision, slots it over with his left boot. I think, though, general, like, you know, the key performers have been from Kildare. Defence, they've been very solid, you know, even defensively, but it's up front. It's you know, Derek Irwin, I think, you know, after a ropey enough start to the game where he made a couple of mistakes and dropped the ball into hands, but he shows all that composure and resilience to really have a storming game for the rest of it. Got a great point for playing the first half and was key to both goals with the assists. Excellent play for such a young man. He's our man of the match.
Congratulations, Derek Irwin. He is your Air Sport Alliance man of the match for this afternoon's Division 2 South clash here in Semple Stadium. A foul there on Kevin Flynn. It'll be a free out for Kildare. But it was a great performance from the young Naas man. His first score after 31 minutes, but really grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck in the second half. Possession there for Con Kavanagh, waiting for the whistle from the referee. Just an injury being looked after here below us, but I think all good here now again. Kavanagh with the right foot drives that, and that is a lovely pass. As the rain drives down here in Semple Stadium, Aaron Masterson just controlled that ball beautifully. Kavanagh again. We'll have an additional 4 minutes here in Semple Stadium. Kieran Sheehan and his jersey pulled there, and he'll have the free. And just Jack O'Connor's men, I mean, I don't think there's any danger of them losing the game at this stage, but they just need to see this game out. They don't want to give away any silly scores to lose any momentum that they might be bringing with them to next week's game.
No, I don't see anything crazy happening here with goals. Kildare have enough experience in that defence with Mick O'Grady and Owen Doyle and players like that. But I think you see something there from Sheehan in that what he does is that he uses his strength and knocks the ball ahead and picks it up and draws the foul. And he's been a positive coming off the bench. And Cork will look to get as much as they can out of him.
That's another score there for Cathal O'Mahony, and that's 3 scores now in the last 5 minutes or so for Cork, so they're finishing the game strongly. And, unfortunately for them, and for Ronan McCarthy, it's too little too late. As we look at Brian McLaughlin coming on there for Kildare in place of our man of the match, Derek Irwin. Feely does really well just to bat that one down towards Fergal Conway. And comes Neil Flynn.
Keep the ball for two. Get them in.
Instructions are fairly clear
Good
from the
pressure,
Kildare bench.
good
Keep the
pressure.
ball.
Well done. Well done. Hold on. Go left, Kev.
Space here in front of Deneen.
Mick, 5-4, Mick, it's only down here. Neil, come on, Neil. Mick, only coming here.
Walsh. This was that ball across here.
Pressure,
Corkery. Pass towards Sean Meehan.
Contact.
Hartnett. Again, just was pulled right at the last minute there, and there'll be another score here. Jack O'Connor again, just talking about that. He's not one bit happy with how they're finishing out this game. He's not happy with the freeze, the soft freeze, I suppose, that they're giving away late in this game, Billy Joe.
That can happen, you know, when you're ahead. You know, you just get a bit lazier with your tackles, but there's not a whole lot in that there. You know, maybe a bit of a swipe made at the ball that clips a Cork man's head. Really, Cork kind of lucky to get that free, running out of ideas there in that situation. But the positive from a defensive point from Kildare is that they haven't really let Cork have a sniff of a goal chance. And when you're in this situation ahead, that's what you need to do.
Against the old cliche, for Jack O'Connor during the week, he'll have plenty of work on. A solid start away from home against Cork. And again, things that they can work on, bring with them towards the game next week.
Yeah, Jack O'Connor wants his team to reflect his identity, and with those young players that have played well today, getting the best out of Kevin Feely, getting the best out of Cribben, players like that as well. Hopefully he can get Daniel Flynn back fit. They've got something to build on.
The famous book Keys to the Kingdom, which oh well, we've had a bit of a coming together here, and again the game is done. There's no need for this from either squad, and players getting involved now. Well, I think it's David Hyland, the Kildare captain, that's still down.
Yeah, I think it was
that was the first incident, I think, Billy Joe, and it just kicked on from there.
Yeah, I think it was Brian Hartnett that had the coming together with him, and I didn't see what happened, but as you're right, it's a Kildare man on the ground, and Maurice Deegan's going to discuss it with his umpires, who probably should have had a good view of it. It was maybe 30 yards in front of them there in space.
Well, we believe, as I said, that number 22 for Cork, Brian Hartnett, came on as a substitute in place of Brian Hurley earlier in the second half. Is the guilty party, but we'll just see how this plays out now. Well, it's Kieran Sheehan that he's called over, I think. Brian Hartnett looks sheepish enough there. I'd say he's looking to keep the head down. And if
well, I apologise to Brian Hartnett if I got it wrong, but
indeed, he's calling in number 20 as well, and that's Ty Corkery who's been called in. Without any crowd, you can kind of hear those conversations and the little moments between a referee and a player. Well, I'm hearing in my ear that it is definitely Brian Hartnett, number 22, who was involved at the start. So, and I suppose Corkery and Sheehan got involved after that, and all three of them got a yellow card. And maybe now, here we go. Let's see now, the notebook is out again. That's the 3 yellow cards dealt with, and I'd imagine whatever was seen by the umpires, well, there's a red for Brian Hartnett, a Douglas player. He's not too happy, but we'll see the incident here, I believe. It's outside the D there. Brian Hartnett coming across, and well, you can see I think it's the right hand that comes across towards David Hyland there, Billy Joe.
Yeah, it's a definite red card. Like, there's a coming together and there's a bit of pulling, but Hartnett definitely uppercuts with his right hand there, and Maurice Deegan gets it right, and right decision.
And there can't be much time left, as I said.
Mazzy, come here. Con.
Now late chance here for Cathal O'Mahony. And if he puts it over the bar, this will be 5 points in a row towards the end of the game from Cork.
Watch the post here, Kildare.
Just the game's petered out towards the last couple of minutes. Kildare really comfortable from in and around the 60th minute. And definitely commentators cursed there on Cathal O'Mahony. And again, he's bringing it forward, and he's happy to give Cathal O'Mahony the opportunity again. He's not happy with Shane O'Sullivan, I think, there. O'Mahony again. He scored the first point for Cork after 3 minutes, and I'd imagine after 77 minutes or so, this will be that for Cork and for the game, and indeed it is. 14 points for Cork. It's 2-12 for Kildare, and it's a brilliant start to the Alliance League Division 2 South for Jack O'Connor's men. Really solid performance, second half in particular, with young lads Dara Kerwin and Jimmy Hyland leading the way, and it finishes here. Kildare 2-12, Cork 14 points.